SpaceX was 3 launches away from extinction when its final rocket suddenly worked. In 2002, Elon Musk founded SpaceX with a simple obsession: make humanity multiplanetary. The goal sounded enormous, but the company began inside a small warehouse in Hawthorne, California. Musk was not an aerospace veteran, and SpaceX had no launch record, no government contract, and no proven rocket. Its first idea was surprisingly modest: buy cheap Russian missiles and send experiments into orbit. But the plan collapsed when negotiations failed, forcing Musk toward a much riskier decision. He would build the rocket himself. And then, the first launch exposed how badly that gamble could fail. That decision created SpaceX's first crisis. Rockets are brutally expensive, technically unforgiving, and impossible to fake. The Falcon 1 was small, but every component had to work under vibration, heat, pressure, and explosive acceleration. In 2006, its first launch ended with a fuel leak and a fire shortly after liftoff. The second launch in 2007 failed when engine problems sent the rocket tumbling into the Pacific. The third failed in 2008 after a collision between stages. SpaceX had 1 rocket left and almost no money left behind it. What happened next would decide whether the company became history or disappeared inside it. That final chance arrived on September 28, 2008 at Omelek Island in the Pacific. Falcon 1 lifted off carrying a small NASA payload, and this time every stage separated cleanly. The rocket reached orbit, making SpaceX the first privately funded company to develop a liquid-fueled rocket that achieved orbit. The victory saved the company from immediate collapse. 4 days later, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract worth $1.6 billion for cargo deliveries to the International Space Station. The breakthrough was real, but the bigger revolution was still hidden inside the engineering. SpaceX was designing rockets to be operated, repaired, and eventually reused like aircraft. One overlooked breakthrough was about to rewrite SpaceX's entire story. The hidden revolution became visible on December 21st, 2015. A Falcon 9 launch from Cape Canaveral delivered 11 satellites, then turned around and landed its first stage upright on a nearby pad. Before SpaceX, orbital rockets were treated as disposable machines, burning up or falling into the sea after one mission. SpaceX made the landing look almost routine, but the attempt had required years of failed tests, violent crashes, and software refinement. Then came 2020, when Crew Dragon carried NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken to orbit. For the first time since the space shuttle retired, American astronauts launched from American soil on a private spacecraft. The breakthrough was not only reaching orbit, but changing what happened afterward. Reusable boosters changed SpaceX's economics and its ambitions. A Falcon 9 first stage could now fly multiple missions instead of being discarded after one. That helped SpaceX launch Starlink satellites, commercial crews, scientific payloads, and increasingly heavy spacecraft. In 2023 and 2024, the company pushed even further with Starship, the largest and most powerful rocket ever tested. Early flights ended in spectacular explosions, but each test produced data instead of silence. That is SpaceX's operating system: launch, fail, measure, rebuild, and launch again. The company's greatest advantage was never one perfect rocket. It was the willingness to turn failure into an engineering shortcut. SpaceX's history is not a straight line from genius to triumph. It is a chain of near-death moments, expensive mistakes, and technical bets that looked unreasonable until they worked. The company moved from one failed Falcon 1 to thousands of satellites, crewed missions, and a reusable launch system. Its story also changed the entire space industry, forcing competitors and governments to rethink what a rocket could cost and how quickly it could fly again. The final lesson is simple: impossible goals become less impossible when failure delivers information. SpaceX did not conquer space in one leap. It made the next attempt cheaper, faster, and more ambitious. SpaceX's next major chapter moved beyond launch pads and into orbit. In May 2012, its Dragon spacecraft became the first commercial vehicle to deliver cargo to the International Space Station and return safely to Earth. That mission proved a private company could handle a task once reserved for national space agencies. Dragon also gave SpaceX a practical relationship with NASA, turning an ambitious startup into a working transportation partner. Later versions added crew capability, and in 2020, astronauts launched aboard a Crew Dragon. The milestone marked a shift. SpaceX was no longer only building rockets, but operating a complete spaceflight system. If you want the story of how Starship could reshape the next century of spaceflight,